Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to Dr. Yasmin and my fellow friends. My name is FIRDAUS bin Muhammad JOHAN. My metric number is 1201583. Today we are from group 2 from TLC 2. We would like to talk about the Wadi'ah, insyaAllah. Okay, before we go through our presentation for today we will start our discussion on Wadi'ah by discussing the following terms. First of all, we will talk about definition. Second, about evidence. Third, about conditions. Fourth, pillars of Wadi'ah, types of Wadi'ah, salient issues, and the last is modern application of Wadi'ah. Okay, first thing first about the introduction of Wadi'ah. In the midst of its development, Wadi'ah is implemented in a number of variations with more institutions involved, including post-giro and financial deposit managed by banking institutions. Hence, Wadi'ah is essentially considered as a deposited item that can be withdrawn by its owner on any occasion, while money saving in bank is closely related to bank interest, but Wadi'ah is basically means to conduct reciprocal existence without expecting any rewards. Okay, so now we move to the definition of Wadi'ah. Okay, first, the term of Wadi'ah is derived from the verb Wadi'ah, which means to leave, lodge, or deposit. Accordingly, Wadi'ah is the literal sense, means leaving something to somebody's custody in the legal sense. However, Muslim scholars have defined the term of Wadi'ah as follows. First, empowerment to someone for keeping the owner's wealth explicitly or implicitly. Okay, this definition is suggested by the Hanafis. Okay, second, representation in keeping position of respectable private goods in specific way. Okay, so this is the views of the Shafi'i and Maliki. And third, about the Hanbali's views, they add the element of charity when they define Wadi'ah as representation in keeping that others' properties, and it is done by the keeper as charity. Okay, now we move to the definition based on the Bank Negara Malaysia. Based on the Bank Negara Malaysia, Wadi'ah refers to a contract where an asset is placed with another party for safekeeping. Okay, based on the Syed Sabiq said about Al-Wadi'ah is keeping something from someone to another, either from an individual or organization that has to be guarded safe and give back on the demand. Okay, so now we move to the evidence of Wadi'ah. The concept of Wadi'ah is not specifically mentioned in the Quran. However, as far as trust is concerned in this matter, there are some indication on this concept which can be observed in the following verse. Okay, so the first verse from Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse 8 until 10. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون والذين هم على صلواتهم يحافظون أولئك هم الوارثون. Means those who are faithfully true to their trust, there is amanah, and to their covenants, and those who strictly guard their prayers, they are indeed the inheritors. Okay, so the second verse from the Quran, from Surah An-Nisa, verse 58. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله يأمركم أن تؤدوا الأمانات إلى أهلها وإذا حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل إن الله نعم ما يعظكم به إن الله كان سميعا بصيرا means indeed Allah commands you to return trust to their rightful owners, and when you judge between people, judge with fairness. What a noble commandment from Allah to you. Surely Allah is all hearing, all seeing.
My name is MARYAM JAMILAH binti Muhammad AHSAN, and my matric number 1201590, and I would like to continue with the pillars and conditions of Al-Wadi'ah. A contract must include pillars and conditions that must be followed in order for it to be valid. There are three of them for Al-Wadi'ah. Firstly is the declaration, which is offer and acceptance. Secondly is the both parties involved, which is depositor and depositories, and the last one is the deposited assets, which I will go through in details in the next slide. The first one is the declaration, which is offer and acceptance. The jurists all agreed that the mutual consent should serve as the fundamental principle underlying in all contracts. Therefore, Al-Wadi'ah is not considered valid unless there is consent amongst the parties involved on both sides. Means that if one of the parties are not consent towards the contract, hence Al-Wadi'ah is not valid, because consent is the key for offer and acceptance. This mutual agreement is shown by the offer and the acceptance. Acceptance refers to the trustees' agreement to carry out the duties of the trust. Therefore, acceptance might be expressed verbally. For example, I agree to keep your items securely. It also can be inferred by the act of physically receiving something or maintaining silence. According to the majority of the jurists, acceptance of a deposit is not obligatory at all. According to the Bank Negara Malaysia, the offer and acceptance may be expressed orally, in writing, or by any other method recognized by Sharia. Secondly, there must be a minimum of 2 parties involved in the Wadi'ah contract. These parties are the depositor and depositories, also called trustees. Both parties should have legal capacity. Also, the depositor and depositories must be sound of mind. It is the opinion of the Hanafi school that the age of maturity is not required if parents require approval to do business. In addition, most Muslim jurists agree that contracting parties must be qualified to be a wakil, means that a person of sound mind and maturity. Lastly is the deposited assets, means that a Wadi'ah assets under a Wadi'ah contract is one that includes the following criteria. Firstly, deliverable, identifiable, consistent with the principle of Sharia. And the last one is the asset is an owned asset.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My name is FASEHA binti AHMAD DENI. Now I will continue to the flows of Al-Wadi'ah. Firstly, the Al-Muaddi or the customer give the property for safekeeping to the Al-Wadi or the bank, and the customer can request back anytime. And then the bank as a custodian safekeep the fund or the property under trust. Next, upon demand from the customer, the bank should return the same amount of property to the customer. However, the bank also can make profit with the property, but the profit is wholly owned by the bank, and the customer does not have right over the profit.
Next, Wadi'ah is divided into 2 types, namely Wadi'ah Yad al-Amanah and Wadi'ah Yad al-Dhamanah. The first is Wadi'ah Yad al-Amanah. Generally, Wadi'ah is based on amanah, trust. It is charitable and divinely rewarded. Important features of Wadi'ah Yad al-Amanah is the first is the custodian should keep the deposit as if he is keeping and taking care of his own property. Second, the custodian should not responsible for any damage of the property so far it has not resulted from his negligence. The custodian is not entitled to any profits gained from the contract. Any benefits accrued from the deposit belong to the owner. Next, the custodian should not utilize or take benefit of the deposit, and the custodian should not transfer the deposit in the hands of others without permission of the depositor. And the custodian should not take the deposit in journey unless permission is given. The custodian also should return the deposit back to the owner upon request. Next is Wadi'ah Yad al-Damanah. These types of Wadi'ah is a combination of safekeeping and guarantee. The Wadi'ah is based on guarantee whereby the custodian guarantees the refund of the property kept with him and ensures the refund the item upon request. This type of Wadi'ah facilitates wider application in the Islamic banking system. Important features of Wadi'ah Yad al-Damanah is the custodian is entitled to use the deposit property for trading or any purpose, and the custodian has a right to any income derived from the utilization of the deposit item and liable for any damage of or loss. Next, the custodian owns the profit and under his discretion to give some portion of it as a gift hibah to the depositor. The gift cannot be in the form of a pre-agreed agreement. And the custodian must return the deposit property to the owner at any time upon the request of the depositor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. My name is SOFIA binti Muhammad Nur Taufik, metric number 1201600. We go to the second issue of Al-Wadi'ah, Act of Trust or Act of Guarantee. The jurists from different mazhabs had agreed that all Wadi'ah is an act of good deed which is encouraged, mandub, and there is reward in the hereafter for its preservation. It is essentially an act which is based on pure trust amanah and not the guarantee. The depositee is not liable to be the guarantor of the contract except for cases of carelessness or negligence. Hence, it is not legal to require the trustee to be a guarantor. For the next slide, besides the cases of ignorance, contract of Wadi'ah could be transformed from trust amanah into guarantee damanah in the following cases if the depositee ignores the protection and safekeeping of the deposited property. Secondly, if the depositee deposit the property with somebody else or not somebody who normally takes care of the depositee's property. If the depositee take the benefit from the usage of the deposited property, and if the depositee travels with the deposited property. And for the next slide, if the depositee refuses to return the deposited property to the depositor or withhold it even though he or she is capable of returning it. For the sixth, if the depositee mix the deposited property with other properties which could not be recognized and distinguished from each other. And lastly, if the depositee commits certain conducts which are against the predetermined condition of the depositor.
My name is Ahmad bin KASIM. My matrix number is 1201578. Modern application responsibility of an Islamic bank is considered as yad amanah when the bank charges a fee for the safekeeping of the valuables and offers a specific allocation for their safe custody. Even if the disaster occurs unintentionally or due to negligence, the bank will be held liable for the replacement of these items in the event of loss, damage, or destruction. The cash money is used by the bank for business objectives. In this instance, regardless of whether the bank generates a profit or even a loss from the business enterprise employing the al-Wadi'ah money, the bank is compelled to fully refund the al-Wadi'ah money to the owner. This means that the bank owns any profit and they have the option to give all or part of it away. Okay. Next is al-Wadi'ah current account. Customers' deposits in current account are mobilized by Islamic bank according to the principles of al-Wadi'ah Yad-Damanah or guaranteed custody. It is founded on a combination of a custody contract, which is al-Wadi'ah, and a guarantee, which is Yad-Damanah. Customers who want to keep their money safe and take advantage of their services offered by a contract account can deposit money with the bank. The bank will next request authorization to use their funds. Customers, on the other hand, have the option to withdraw their savings at any moment. The bank owns all of the profits made through the utilization of funds. The bank provides checkbooks and other services provided by conventional bank to the current account. Al-Wadi'ah saving account. Customer saving accounts are mobilized by Islamic bank according to the principles of al-Wadi'ah Yad-Damanah guaranteed custody. It is founded on a combination of a custody contract al-Wadi'ah and a guarantee Damanah. Customers who want to keep their money safe can make deposit at the bank. Profits created by the bank as a result of the utilization of such money are theirs to keep. Time to time, the bank may, at its discretion, reward the customer by repaying a percentage of the profits made from the usage of their funds. The bank provides its customers with a saving passbook and other standard banking services for saving account.
Next, the differences between deposits under Islamic and conventional banking. Firstly, in terms of contract, Islamic bank use Wadi'ah contract, meanwhile conventional bank use loan contract. The relationship between the bank and the customer, the Wadi'ah contract involve depositor and depositee, and in conventional bank, loan contract involve lender and borrower. Next, in terms of income, in Islamic bank, deposits are not entitled to any income, which means the bank should give the exact amount of the property to the customer. And in conventional bank, deposits are paid interest, which means the depositors will get interest as their income. And the last one is the obligation. The Islamic bank may give the depositor a share of the profits generated at their discretion, which means the bank can give bonus to the customer, but it should not be any agreement or promise, and it considered as gift or hibah. In conventional bank, the bank must give the depositors their interest payment. That's all. In a conclusion, generally, al-Wadi'ah in Islamic banking refers to an agreement between the bank and the customer, where the customer keeps their money in the bank. The customer funds deposited in Islamic bank are guaranteed safe, and Islamic banking is obliged to bear all the risks that occur in customer funds. Furthermore, usually the Islamic bank will give hibah or gift to the customer, but it is not promise, or it must not be in the form of pre-agreed agreement. If not, it will be riba, and it is haram in Islam. That's all from our group. Thank you.